Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's Daf Hayomi Zevachim Tzadi Daled. We are holding at the Mishnah on Tzadi Gimel Amud Beis, around 17, 18 lines off the bottom. Nitaz ala or. Suppose some of the dam mechatos landed on a piece of leather, on skin, on the hide of the animal. Now the pasuk does say that any beged upon which the blood lands requires kibus. It needs to be laundered in a very specific, in the Beis Hamikdash, right? What about leather? What about hide? What about skin on the animal? Does that qualify for kibus? Or do you just, scrape it off or whatever? Says the Mishnah. It depends. It depends if it's still on the animal, then it doesn't qualify for kibus. It's not like a garment, right? But if it had been removed, had been filleted off the animal, right? Nitaz ala oir. If it dripped on the skin of the animal, before it had been removed, flayed, skinned, kibus is not required. However, after skinning, it's considered like a separate entity. It's like a garment, like a kli that's mekabel tuma, as we're going to see in the Gemara. And therefore, it is ton kibus. Kibus is required. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. And despite the fact that it's still a raw piece of leather and wasn't really pressed into service yet, it's not really functioning as any, useful utensil. But since it's ro'oi, it's potentially capable of functioning, right? As we're going to see in the Gemara. Rabbi Lezer no, af mishuhufshat. Even after skinning einoy ton kibus is not applicable. Rashi explains, because ro'oi, having that potential to be designated as a useful utensil, is not sufficient unless it's actively functioning. So at this early point, after skinning, it's not yet really being used. It's not really susceptible to tumah. It's not a finished product. Kibus is not applicable. Af mishuhufshat einoy ton kibus. And the Mishnah continues, sort of sums up the halacha in general. Einoy ton kibus ela mokim adam. You only do kibus to the exact spot of the dam. In general, if it lands on a shirt, you have to spot clean only. You don't have to throw the whole shirt into the washing machine. V'davar shorot l'kabel tuma. And again, it's only on something which is fit for kabbalas tuma. Rashi explains, once again, we're going like Rabbi Yehuda now. Even though it's not yet been labeled and fully designated as a finished product, as long as it's one step away in terms of the material, it's suitable. As soon as it's all it needs is to be designated. That's called ro'id l'kabel tuma. And third condition is ro'id l'kibus. It has to be something which you can launder, as opposed to pots and pans and a piece of wood, right? It has to be some sort of pliable material. And the Mishnah concludes which materials are eligible for kibus. Whether it's just regular material, or made of sackcloth, or even leather. To earn kibus applies. Kibus needs to take place with mokim kadesh in the azara only. Ushviras klicheres mokim kadesh. If a klicheres was used to cook, to prepare the meat of the carbon, right? The pasuk speaks about the klicheres used to cook a chatos, right? So, because there is embedded residue in the walls of the kli which cannot be extracted, so that kli needs to be broken as per the pasuk's directive, where location is strictly in the Zora as well. Ushviras klicheres mokem kodesh, and the thirdly umriko shtifa b'klei nechoshes mokem kodesh. Third halacha is very similar halacha. You have the metallic utensils, pots and pans, klei nechoshes, copper. So these were used to prepare karbanos. You have to rinse them in a very specific way. And again, all this takes place in mokem kodesh. Any handling of carbon or carbon residue is mokem kodesh, whether it's kibus on the beged, whether it's shvira on the klicheres, whether it's Mariko Shtifa on the Klei Nechoshes, all take place in the Azara Mokem Kodesh. However, as the Mishnah concludes, you should know that kibus is very specific. It only applies to chatas. to dam of chatas, and in fact, zechimer bechatas. Because that's one advantage that chatas has over all other karbonos, even Kodesh HaKadoshim, that kibbutz applies to chatas only. But not only that, how do we know that in fact kibbutz will apply to even things which are not strictly beged, like a shirt or pants, even other types of a material, sack and all that. B'tana Rabbanan, beged. So the pasuk says, "Asher yiza bidama ala beged." Right, the adama lachatas lands on a beged. So you would think any other beged, perhaps only a real beged, a piece of material. Menayin the rabbis mishavshet. What about skinned leather? Tamalema asher yiza ala techabes makim kadosh. That additional phrase in the pasuk, "Asher yiza ala techabes," tells you it applies to other materials as well. How far do we take this? Yochel shani marba. Maybe I'll cover even skin that was not yet skinned off the animal. Beged. We go back to beged, sort of back and forth, which teaches us ma beged haroi l'kavol tumah. I've called haroi l'kavol tumah. Just like a beged is something which is suitable for tumah, it's potentially a functioning item. Likewise, kibbutz only applies to similar items. Divrei, that's a shita of Rabbi Yehuda. As long as it's roi, right? As we explained before, as long as from the materials standpoint, it's suitable for use, even though it's has yet to be designated as such, it qualifies for kibbutz. So the focus is on the material. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, not so quick. It has to be actively functioning. So again, the starting point is the word beged in the pasuk. Ainli ala beged, perhaps only a beged qualifies. Menayin the rabbis sak. What about other materials? Tamalema asher aleh techabes. What about leather? What about leather even after it was removed? No, we go back to beged to tell you, ma beged, just as a beged is a functioning entity, and therefore it is, susceptible to tumah. Davar hamakabel tumah afkol. Davar hamakabel tumah. Likewise, only things which are actually makabel tumah qualify. My binayu. How is Rabbi Eliezer different than Rabbi Yehuda? According to Rabbi Yehuda, the criterion is roi l'kavol tumah. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it's makabel tumah. Sounds close enough. Maybe now, yeah, there is a big difference. Here come 3 examples. Items which, by the virtue of their material, are considered roi l'kavol tumah. They're pretty much finished and ready to go, but they're not yet functioning entities. It qualifies for roi. According to Rabbi Yehuda, kibbutz applies, but it's not yet makabel tumah. To Rabbi Eliezer, it's excluded. Rabbi, for example, matlas, you have a little patch, material, but it's very small. B'chusim mishalish, al shalish, smaller than 3 by 3 figure widths. That will be the point of difference here. Ma'andam aroi, hanami roihu. According to Rabbi Yehuda, roi is the trigger point. This qualifies. The boy chashiv. Although currently it's not functioning, it's too small to really but you can decide to use this as a patch. So it's one step away, it qualifies. Manda Omar, however, according to Rabbi Eliezer, who needs davar ha-mekabel tumah, currently functioning at mekabel tumah, ha-me'alav bas kibula tumah, currently it's not mekabel tumah, it doesn't qualify. Rav Amar, another example, beged, you have a big material, shechisha oleo, l'tzuri kibenayu. Decided he wants to add ornaments to it. He wants to beautify it. Okay, so that will be a point of contention. Madam aroi, according to Rabbi Yehuda, roi is the qualifying criterion. Hanami roi, this too qualifies. The boy mevata, he can decide in a split second to cancel his plans, which reinstates this piece of material as a functioning entity. According to Rabbi Eliezer, it needs to be currently and actively functioning makabel tumah entity. Well, if he's still planning on adding trimmings, lav bas kibul tumah, it's not yet makabel tumah. Rav Amar, her third example, utzva, a mat, typically made of leather or whatever, which can be used as is, raw. But he decided he wants to trim the corners, fix them up. That will be another an item which is up for grabs. Ma'andama roi, according to Rabbi, the roi is the requirement. Hanami roi, there's also roi. Because again, you can just turn around and say, look, I'm going to use it as is, so it's one step away. It's, the material itself is fully suitable. It's just that he has to make up his mind. Manda Omar Davar Makabal Tumah, according to Rabbi Lezer, Halav Makabal Tumah. It's not yet Makabal Tumah, Adam Katziel, until he finishes fixing it up. Vatanya, as we find in the Brisa, Rabbi Shimon ben Nasir Eimer, Utzva, right, this mat, Shechisha Vela Kaitza, which she's still planning on trimming off the corners and rounding it off and, fixing them up, Tahirat Shektiena, is Torah until that point. Okay, so again, the Mishnah tells us, Kibus applies to Beget, to Sak, to Oir, and according to Rabbi Lezer, it has to be a functioning, active entity, according to Rabbi Yehuda, as long as it has that potential, pending his, decision. Ainton Kibus, so you only spot clean. How do we know? That's enough. Tan Rabbanon. Yochel nitas al mitzvahs beged. Perhaps if there was a splatter on part of the beged, yehi kol beged ton kibus, you got to wash the whole beged. Tamalei masher yizeh, which teaches lo yamarti lecha ela mokim dal mavad. Only that spot has to be spot washed. Dover shurei lekabel tuma, says the Mishnah. That's like Rabbi Yehuda. Ro'i is enough. Potential is sufficient. Stomach Rabbi Yehuda. The anonymous Mishnah follows Rabbi Yehuda. The word roi lekibus tells you only something which is suitable for laundering, limuti kli, as opposed to a solid piece of utensil. Devar griruhu, that's not washed. Agredu, that you scrape off. You don't have to do kibus on that. But echad habeged asak, and even oir, leather, qualify. You mean to say leather is something that can be laundered? Lememra the oir ba kibus. So here comes a whole long discussion whether you can even launder leather. It pertains to the halacha of kibus in our discussion. It pertains to halacha of Shabbos. One may not launder clothing. What about laundering leather? What about washing your shoes? But we have a kasha on this premise. There's a Gemara in Shabbos. You have a pillow, a mattress, and you find some dirt sitting on it. You can't wash it. Right? That's a malacha of malabin. Whitening, right? You're not allowed to. You wipe it off with a rag, but a tissue. But if you happen to have a leather pillow, then there's no issue using water. Just pour some water until the dirt washes away. Apparently, there's no issue washing leather on Shabbos. No, so you see, kibus doesn't apply to oir, and now Mishnah we're saying that we're washing that leather off. Amar Abaye, right? Leather doesn't qualify for kibus of the pasuk. Amar Abaye, it's really machlekes tanai whether or not kibus, laundering, applies to leather, because material, understand, it's pliable, it absorbs the water, it gets washed. A hard piece of wood, you just scrape it, there's no washing it. But leather is somewhere in the middle. It's not as hard as wood, but it's not as soft as material. Is it, susceptible to the process of laundering? Amar Bavli kasha, it's a machlokes. Harabanon ha'achirim. Between the Rabbanon who say, no, leather is not given to laundering, whereas achirim, which we know is Rameir, back from Mesachas Harius, holds that even washing leather constitutes an act of laundering. This time we have a brisa, habeged, v'ha'oir, habeged v'hasak. Okay, so this is back to the halacha of the dam chatas that landed on these items. Material, right, a shirt, sack, which has some dam chatas dripped on it, mechabsa. So you do kibus on that. Okay, because these things can be laundered. They're soft, right? They're agitatable, right? But hakliv ha'or, a solid, dish or even a piece of leather, there's no need to do kibus. Kibus doesn't apply to the megarara. You just scrape it off the blood. There's no kibus. That's the shitas rabbanon. Or is not washable. Achirim, they disagree. Habeged v'asak, even v'ha'or mechabsei. Kibus applies even there. A kli, but a regular, solid, hard kli megarara, that's just scraped off. Okay, so clearly it's machlekes tanoim. All agree beged and sak needs kibbutz. Oir, according to Achirim, yes. And according to the Chacham, there's no point of doing kibbutz. And likewise on Shabbos, no issue with running water over the leather pillow, because it's oir, and oir is not given to kibbutz. Okay, so now based on this, how do we understand the following anecdote, the following story? Come on, Ozla, Hada Amar Rav Chia bar Ashi. Rav Chia bar Ashi related, and we want to know whose shita is he going with. So the story was Zimnin Sagin. He says many times, I would be standing in front of Rav, serving Rav, and I noticed, some, mud on his shoe. This was on Shabbos. I would wash, I would rinse. I would rinse for him his shoes, with water, even on Shabbos. Come on, Rabban. Apparently, that's like the Rabban who say leather is not given to kibbutz, and it can be rinsed even on Shabbos. Amar Rava. Really? Is there anybody in the world that holds kibbutz doesn't apply to leather? We have a pasuk of aksiv by the nega, right? Discover a nega on either vahabeged, or yashsiha erev, piece of material, thread, on the loom, or kol kliha, or even on leather. Asher techabes. It's meant to be washed, laundered. So clearly, even leather is washable. Ela Rava says, Rava, let me explain to you what's going on. Kra, the pasuk that I just quoted, indicating that kibbutz applies to leather. Umas nisan. And likewise, our Mishnah over here in Zevachim, that indicates that you can do kibbutz even on leather. Barakin. There are different types of leather. Soft leather, yes. Ki pligi b'kashna machlokes. Between Rabban and Achirim, speaking about a different category. Hardened leather, tough leather. Okay, that's a separate category. And on that, the Rabbanan say no, and Achirim say yes. Okay, let's go back to that story again. He says, Zivin and Sagin many times. Havakim came to the Rav. I would serve Rav. I would rinse his dirty shoes, even on Shabbos. Okay, there's no issue, but caution. So first of all, you have to specify that it's hard leather, otherwise it would be considered a malacha, v'rabbanan, u'k'rabbanan, and certainly going like the rabbanan, otherwise it would be forbidden. Hadam Rava. Now Rava comes back and says, hold it. I think it's a mistake. Lav milsi de amri. What I said is incorrect regarding limiting that pasuk by the nega, which indicates that leather is washed to soft leather only. Neiku, should we go ahead, namely the Kruah, and establish and pin down, commit the pasuk, and say the chiksivan barak and ksivan, the pasuk only speaking about soft leather? Unlikely. Mila askinan b'chli as achsaligia. Are we not speaking even about utensils made of real, hardened leather, haboim dinisayam, which are imported from, far countries, and even on those, kibbutz is required even on those, right? Assumingly the Torah is speaking about all, a full spectrum of leather items. Elam Rava says, Rava, I'll tell you how to solve that issue. Typically, kibbutz on oir kosher, according to Rabbanon, is not applicable. But it's different when it had a tzara, had a nega. So notwithstanding its miraculous properties, but inevitably it has a physical, manifestation. It's sort of a growth coming out of the baguette or out of the piece of leather. Tzaras by the nega. Since it sprouts, it develops from the actual leather. It has a softening effect on it. It permeates the leather and loosens it up. And turns it into rach. It turns it into a soft leather. Despite it being a tough, hardened leather to begin with, but now that it experienced a nega, it humbled it, it softened it, and now you can wash it. Amar Rava continues, Rava, if anything, the following question should be asked. We have that Mishnah in Masechas Shabbos. Spoke about rinsing some, soil off a leather pillow, and it was okay, right? Let's think for a second. Chances are he's sleeping on a soft leather pillow, not a hard leather pillow, right? So according to me, Kibbutz applies to soft leather. How could he run water over it on Shabbos? That's kibbutz. That's malach. It's a malacha. Right? The mattresses, the pillows, the rakaninu. Assumingly they're soft material. But the Mishnah allows running water over it. If they were made of leather, don't worry about just rinsing them until the soil disappears. According to me, that doesn't work. Rava says, Rava, let me explain to you how to address that as well. Called kibbutz a less like kiskus, leshmei kibbutz. Kibbutz requires kiskus, rubbing, agitation. A kibbutz that does not feature agitation as part of its process, lo yishmei kibbutz, is not considered a kibbutz. So although it's leather, soft leather, which according to me qualifies for a kibbutz, he's simply running water over it. That's not called kibbutz. Okay, so based on this new insight, let's return to that story again for the third time. He told us the Rav would rinse his shoes on Shabbos, and clearly he's only allowing shichshach, like a superficial rinse, shichshachin aval kibbutz, but a proper wash, agitation, that's not allowed. Why? Okay, so let's see. If they were soft leather shoes, then it's going like anybody. Nobody would allow a proper kibbutz. Soft leather, is susceptible to a proper kibbutz. That wouldn't be done on Shabbos. Or, alternatively, if his shoes were hard leather, tough leather, why can't you properly wash them? Because that statement was following the Shitas Hacherim, that even by hardened leather, kibbutz would apply. Ask the Gemara, okay, if you're telling me that without agitation it's not called kibbutz, beged nami. So why does the Mishnah only allow pouring water on the leather pillows because they're leather? Even if they're made of plain material, just run water over them without agitation. It's not kibbutz. Says the Gemara, beged. When it comes to material, it's different because of its softness and delicateness. Shuriyasai, simply soaking and getting it wet. Zeu kibbutz, that constitutes laundering because the water permeates runs between the fibers and cleans it out. And in fact, Rava follows his own, consistently with his own shita. He throws his kerchief into the water. Chayev. Even he didn't agitate it. Just merely soaking it is a chiyuv of malach on Shabbos. In contrast to a leather, where without agitation doesn't constitute kibbutz. And it continues with another halacha as well. A little bit unrelated, but zorak zera pishtan l'mayim chayev. Likewise, if he tosses some flax seed into water and lets it sit there and soak, he's chayev. He did a malacha. Why? Bishlam is sudar of it kibbutz. I understand that the material thrown in there is kibbutz. He's laundering, he's cleaning it. What's wrong with throwing in seeds into water? Perhaps you'll say it's because it's germinating, and that is a violation of a malacha of planting, of zeireya. So why are you picking flaxseed? It would apply to any kernels, wheat and barley. So apparently that's not the issue here. The concern is that by the flaxseed, by soaking it, it generates this sliminess, this sort of residue that comes out, and they get stuck to each other as a mass, and therefore he has committed the malacha of elisha, taking separate units and sort of massing them together as one mass. So again, why are you limiting it to flaxseed? If you take pieces of hide, leather, and you throw it into the water, it also has that same effect. It generates this sort of slimy, residue, which sort of sticks them together. Hasam kavet lisha. Difference is that by the flaxseed, they stick together and become a mass. It's like a dough. That's a malacha of lisha. As opposed to pieces of hide, even if they stick together, but they're still separate entities. They don't sort of mass together as one single mass. Dorash Rava. Okay, Rava got up and announced, Mutar lechabes min Shabbos. You can actually thoroughly wash a shoe on Shabbos. It's made of leather, no issue of washing. Papa responded, What about that story for the fourth time today? Zimn and Sagi, and many times. I was in front of Rav. I simply made it like a superficial rinse on his shoes. Kibbutz lawn is superficial, but not a proper kibbutz, and you're allowing even a proper agitation, a proper lawn. Rav conceded, and with full integrity, he got up and said, I made a mistake. Hadar. He came around. Uki Rav Amor Alehi got his Amora to get up again. That was like the announcer who would call out his words. V'darash, and he announced again, he says, Dvarim shamarti lefneichem tovas ein biyadi. What I told you earlier was a full mistake. Baram, rather, this is the correct version. Kach amru. The following was taught, Shich mutar, kibbutz us, even regarding leather. Shich, a superficial rinse is okay, but not a proper laundry. Okay, so bottom line is according to Rava, we have two categories of leather. Soft or hard. When it comes to hard, does kibbutz apply? It pertains to Shabbos, it pertains to, right? According to Acherim, yes. According to Rabbanan, no. And even according to Acherim, only if there's a kiskus. It involves agitation, which is a critical, condition, critical component in the laundering, in the leather laundering process. By ordinary material, just simply soaking is kibbutz, but by leather you need a more elaborate process to be considered kibbutz. And all agree when it comes to soft leather that certainly kibbutz would apply. It pertains to kibbutz of damchatas, it pertains to Shabbos, etc. Location is Makim Kadosh. Kibbutz Makim Kadosh. How do we know that kibbutz on a beged with chatas dam has to take place Makim Kadosh? Tan Rabbanan Techavis Makim Kadosh. There you go. Straightforward. Likewise, the second and third halachas as well. Shviras klicheres and the rinsing of the utensils. Menayin, how do we know that's in a Makim Kadosh? Tam leimar. Because right after it says klicheres hashaduvushal, but you break the klicheres. So it's a continuation. Just as kibbutz needs Makim Kadosh, likewise this. And thirdly, Mrikir Shtifa, Klein Choshes, that is also Makim Kadosh. Menayin, how do we know? Tam leimar, because then again, the pasuk continues. If you prepare the carbon and clean choshes, you have to rinse it in water, and presumably in the same location. So the Mishnah concludes that chatas has an advantage over other karbanos in terms of the kibbutz requirement. Zevachim b'chatas. Sulaka, there's no other element of advantage that's found by chatas and not by others. What do you mean? A chatas has an advantage, big advantage. In some cases, by chatas hapnimi, the blood goes into the heichal. You don't find that by other karbanos. Well, we're not talking about that category of chatas. We're speaking about the external chatas. Okay, it doesn't have that advantage, but it does have another advantage. Even the chatas chitzoyna, if its blood was imported into the heichal, becomes pasal, which is not found by other karbanos. The answer is it is. We're going like Rabbi Kiva, who says it's a universal halacha applying to all other karbanos as well. Rabbi Kiva damar kol damim shenichsu l'chapel heichal psul. Okay, so that's out. But what about the fact that a chatas has a very broad and powerful kapara capability? Shekem mechaper nachay v'krisis. It atones for very serious kares sins when done unintentionally, which you don't find by other karbanos. The answer is we're not talking about that chatas. We're talking about a lower level chatas. The chatas shmiyas hakol, which is coming to address a witness who falsely promised, turned down the offer to testify, right? As if he doesn't know. So that chatas brought in that case is not atoning for kares. But still, shekain tuna arba matanos. A chatas, unlike other karbanos, his blood is meant to be applied on four separate applications on mizbeach. The answer is Rabbi Shmuel. Damar kol dam tunin dal matanos. The answer is going like Rabbi Shmuel, who says all karbanos need 4 applications. Well, says the Gemara, it's true that according to Rabbi Shmuel, all karbanos need 4 applications, but after all, it's only going to take place in 2 locations, 2 on this side, 2 on that side, right? You can hit all 4 walls, but it's still on the 2 opposite corners, which are split into 2 each. Okay, but it's still different than a chatas adalat kronis, which needs to be on 4 separate distinct locations on the 4 separate corners. Why isn't that mentioned as an advantage? Well, you're right. According to you, there are many more advantages that a chatas has over the other ones, which aren't mentioned. Now, you could Karen. What about the fact that in contrast to the other karbanos that go on the wall of the mizbeach, the chatas goes up on top on the corner. Hika etzba has to be applied directly with his finger. Hika chud has to be at the edge of the corner. You're right. Elachad mitrei tlasa chumri nakat. Instead of going through the the extensive list, the Mishnah sort of picked out as a sampling one of 2, 3 advantages, and that suffices to make the point. But you're right. Certainly, it's an incomplete list. There are many more chumrais and milas that a chatas has over the rest. Okay, so in summation, dam chatas that dripped on a beged requires kibbutz mokim kadosh. It applies to a beged, to sack, even to leather, depending on the opinions. And the general principle is it has to be something which is a functioning, a garment. According to Rabbi Yehuda, ro'i l'kavotuma. According to Rabbi Lezer, actually makavotuma, and takes place in mokim kadosh. Likewise, the breakage of the kli cheres and the rinsing of the kli nechoshes. The Mishnah concludes that in fact kibbutz is an advantage, is a chaymer applicable to chatas over other karbanos, amongst several other chumras as well. All the best to you and hatzlacha.